Yeah, I've just went out and brought myself a 1 terabyte SD card, but I can't even figure out how to transfer, my files, pictures and videos to the SD card. So I guess that's something that will, occupy my mind a little bit today. But you know, um, I guess in a positive light, um, I've surrendered to the fact that, whenever I engage my imagination, it pretty much entails mythomania, where I guess I experience an elevation in mood generally, where I become captivated, enchanted, and enthralled by what it is I experience in my inner realm. And it's magnificent. I can circulate an affect, that's just marvelous and divine in nature. And that's what I believe, or where I believe it stems from, that childhood or juvenile omniscience that in healthy parent-child relationships, it's loved, nurtured, and guided over a period of time. And, individuals are introduced to a self-concept that's more based in reality than fantasy. And, they can go through a natural progression or evolution, where they start to discern those things for themselves. And I never really had that opportunity. So what drives my psychosis basically is the fact that I believe in this imaginary or in I believe that I can make tangible the aspects of abstract phenomena that I experience and bring them into fruition. And a lot of that is in regards to love and intimacy. And, it's just an illusion. It compensates for the fact that in reality, I never experienced that in a healthy manner. So in my mind, I can create what would represent as pertaining to be normal, yet I reject or disavow the fact that my early childhood was very abusive and traumatic. So it's a little bit like the donkey or the carrot before the donkey, where it's given me hope and purpose, and it's something that I strive to achieve, but I was so self-removed that I couldn't come back into what I had deemed as tedious, mundane, and droll, because I thought that I had to captivate, enchant, and enthrall a prospective partner or even a companion of any kind. And if I couldn't achieve that, then I'd failed basically on my mission or in my mission. I thought that extroverts got all the love and attention and affection, and I thought that I could replicate that. And it's just a delusion, something that I keep referring back to, so I don't feel like I'm a freak, basically. It's interesting. I feel grounded in reality, and it seems as though the more I accept that, the less I'm prone to producing distortion in regards to the conspiratorial ideations or ideations of reference, where I think that I can play games, basically. And that's what life in society is consisted of. I can rationalize that, there are spectres or factions within society, namely the dystopian activists, who need stress and tension in order to self-actualize. There's a hierarchy employed, and I guess I wanted to utilize that in a very selfish and self-seeking manner to profit from, basically. If not financially, then in the sense that, I would have aligned myself with power and authority, that could lead to diabolical manifestations of diabolical activity. And I think that's due to the fact that I never really, and still struggle, to connect with the anguish at the loss of my innocence in my early childhood. And what drew me to that conclusion is the fact that in one of my grandiose escapades that formulated over a period of years, where I thought that business, the internet, and hacking could all be utilized in such a way as to bring about change, with there being benefits for certain participants, and that may all be real, but now that I have been issued a compensation payment for total and permanent disability, I don't know how involved I want to get in that sort of industriousness, because there's a lot of Machiavellianism, and I can't bring myself to trust other parties, I've been a loner pretty much for the last 25 years. I've made acquaintances, but I've never really bonded with another party. So I feel well and relatively stable. I feel grounded in reality. And that's another thing I've realised as well. Whenever I get these ideas, they get enveloped with a certain degree of fabulousness. This is going to be fabulous. It's a fable in the making. We're going to the movies. There's a script here to be played out. And, that sense of wanting to belong, has frustrated me for years, because generally most individuals have drawn their own line in the sand, basically, when it comes to engaging in distortion. And they choose careers that, are involved, or, they know that there's success and failure, and they choose a career path, which has some very steep rises, and for a lot of individuals, a lot of demoralisation as well. And I think that's something that I couldn't really contend with, and that is being demoralised. I still don't identify with that to any great degree, so I'm still a little bit disjointed. I can't give a detailed description of what it is that I'm trying to express. And I've realised, that, I go more on felt sense, and that, when I'm trying to process, and I generate that, or that positive affect envelops me once again, I know that it's libelous, in the sense that in my imagination I experience the vigor and vitality of a youth, and it's hyper real, and that's my addiction to it. I can experience the feelings and sensations of a regular person in my imagination, but I can't establish that very often in reality. And I think that's due to the fact that I've never wanted to let go of the inspiration I receive from that kind of maladaptive behaviour. So I'm getting better in the sense that I can describe what it is that I experience. I know that it's symptomatic. I know that I'm the one with the problem, and that there are others that will accommodate me. There will be others that just tolerate me, and that's the illusion that I fall victim to, that I just want to be, or not, that I am just this lovable, adorable little boy. And that's just, that's craving love and affection and attention. So I realise that when it manifests is where I seek impunity from the corrosive and corrupt nature of personality traits that I realise I now experience. And by that I mean the dark personality triad, the narcissism, the Machiavellianism, and the psychopathy. When I'm deluded, I think I've escaped that. And that's where I regress into that infantile, juvenile egomania, where I captivate and enchant myself. That's what I experience. It's just a delusion. And like I mentioned, it's mythomania, because I'm lying to myself, basically. I don't want to accept the fact that I'm a middle-aged man and that life as others experience it, I'll only get to sample it in a limited degree due to the nature of what I experienced in my early childhood. So that's once again maladaptive, and I don't really know what else to say. I realised today that that's what I believed, my core belief, that I had no human rights, and the delusion was that I should be warranted impunity for the actions of an insane man, basically. And that could be permissible in today's society, especially with a diagnosis. So for me, this is how it's evolved. I'm more hyper, reflexive than calculating. I don't have a solid formula or plan as to follow. And I don't feel as though that I feel the need to rise above it anymore. This shit where you can fucking pray and meditate and transform your genome. I don't believe that. It's something that I coveted, but I'm starting to become more congruent with reality and the nature of addiction, and consider myself a recovering addict or a recovered addict, that doesn't want to experience the degradation and dehumanization that one can only generally experience qualitatively in a very trusting, loving space. And that's basically what I was trying to transform life into. You know, those kinds of relationships I know now are to be treasured, but to try and manipulate life and society into becoming basically a womb, you know, so that I can be reborn all over again and experience life for a second time. You know, that delusion has been smashed. You know, so it's 20 minutes now. I don't know if I'll post this. I think I may. You know, so well and good. Ciao.